So, a lot of people don't know this, but I had a home birth with my son. I wanted to have a home birth with Sovereign as well. However, life had other plans. I had to go with my backup plan after a while, but that's a whole other story. But I had a home birth with my son. He's 3.5 years old now. And amid the contractions and the back labor and just, general labory stuff, I remember this distinct moment with my husband and I, and it's so small, but it's something that I hold on to. It's part of the birth story. When I think of the birth story and I think about Zen, yes, totally think about him, right? It was his birthday coming into the world. And I also think about this moment with my husband because labor is intense, obviously, for me, but my husband is there, like as a witness and as a support and all of that. And there was this moment where it was just, I don't know how many hours in, and I was exhausted, as one would be. And I'm sitting on one of those big yoga exercise balls. I had those throughout both of my pregnancies. And I use it to kind of help me with labor and hip movement and just all of that. Bouncing just is great. It's my favorite. And imagine the bed, with the edge of the bed. My husband is sitting at the edge of the bed. And right next to him, I'm sitting on this yoga exercise ball in front of him. And the the ball is right between them, so we're face to face, and I'm exhausted and he's also exhausted, okay, because this man could fall asleep on a dime. When he's tired, but obviously, you gotta be here for this moment. But I'm still in a place where I can kind of doze off because of exhaustion between contractions. So I'm sitting on this ball and he and I are like holding hands, like holding arms. And we're both falling asleep. And this is something that I felt was happening, and also one of our midwives was like witnessing and filming. And I'm falling asleep in between contractions. And then there's a bit of me that I'm sure is trying to like little wobbly on the ball. But my husband, whenever he would feel me slip, would grab my arm and kind of not aggressively, but like grab me kind of gently back into place, back into my center. And I would feel him nodding off too. And it was kind of the same thing. So it was just like this push and pull, gentle push and pull moment with us of really just keeping each other from falling off, keeping each other grounded, keeping each other steady. And there's something about that small moment for me. And also hearing it from the midwife, hearing it from a retelling, from someone seeing it. Because, I was like, you weren't afraid that was going to fall my pregnant behind in labor? Wasn't just going to fall off this ball? And she was like, yeah, I was there. But then I noticed how you and your husband were holding each other up. And I was like, well, dang, I guess we were holding each other up, weren't we? And I feel like it's just a beautiful moment and a beautiful memory that I've cherished up until this point. And I started to think about this moment today because I saw this clip on, I don't know, YouTube. It might have been on YouTube, probably. But it was a compilation of the show called Blackish. And the husband and wife, Andre and Rainbow, in this compilation, it was showing how they had gone through this separation and how they kind of had come back to each other. And so Andre and Bo were physically separated. Andre had gotten another apartment, this kind of sterile looking bachelor pad looking thing that he thought was going to impress his kids. And the kids stayed in their home, right, with their mom. And you see this moment where the alarms are going off in her house. and she's freaking out because it's the middle of the night. She's like doesn't know what to do. She's scrambling. The kids are like, "What's going on?" She can't tell them. She's just losing it. And eventually, it's like I when the alarm goes off, they realize it was something minute. She was like, "I didn't handle that well," to her kids, and they were like, "Yeah, but you're trying." Realizing in that moment that this was the kind of thing that her husband would take care of, that she would rely on him for. And it goes to him in the apartment where he's trying to impress the kids with fancy catered dinners when they come to spend the night with him, and all this fancy furniture, and they didn't even want to leave a toothbrush over there. Okay, they couldn't wait to get home because his apartment didn't feel like home. And so you see this montage of him moving out the crazy furniture, bringing in more cozy furniture, learning how to cook a homemade meal. Because again, this is something he would have relied on Bo to do, to make a house a home for him, to do the kind of decorations to soften a place and to make the meals. And so, like, handle the food. And so he's figuring that out. So you see these two people figuring out how to parent and be on their own while simultaneously realizing how much they relied on each other. And yet they're still separated. So the pivotal moment was, you see Andre in his home get a call in the middle of the night, and it's Rainbow. And she calls him sobbing, weeping. And he's like, "Bo, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And she's like, "My dad died." And he's like, I'm coming right now. He got out of the bed, he went over there, she's still sobbing, and they just embrace and they hug. And in that moment, they decided, we're going to figure this out. We're going to find our way back to each other. Why that triggered my memory was one word, and it was reliability, right? Being able to rely on someone. In relationship, I hear a lot of things. A lot of words come up often because I'm a marriage coach, because I'm in a relationship, because I talk to other people who are in relationship. Like, we talk about things, and support and respect and appreciation, like, these come up a lot. And overwhelm, exhaustion, it's a list. But reliability, even though I know it's there, it kind of comes as this undertone, as this supporting player that you don't always hear in those terms, but it's so important. In that moment on that yoga ball, as I'm in a very physically and emotionally vulnerable state, I'm physically relying on my husband to keep me up and keep me grounded. And in our stupors and exhaustion, we trusted each other and we were able to rely on each other. And that does not mean we don't get on each other's nerves. Okay. We've been rocking for 17 years. Okay. Most of my 20s, all of my 30s. Now we're in our 40s, and we're still kicking it. And in the underlying foundation, part of the underlying foundation for us is that reliability. And in that moment, I feel like it's just a symbol, a testimony to how we can rely on each other and how we do rely on each other and how important that is. Like, I can rely on you and you can rely on me. Trust and believe. I could not do this. I could not leave and make this change and make this shift and upend our lives and just leave what is, I'm almost reluctant to say comfortable. I really want to say leave what's familiar with anyone that I couldn't rely on. And I know he feels the same. We rely on each other, we've got each other's back. And even when we get on each other's nerves, or we ticked off at each other, or we need some space from each, like, those moments, those real moments in relationship, we come back to each other and we know, hey, we're gonna do that. We know that's gonna happen. In the moment, it may not feel like it. You may be in your feelings, but it happens. And we had to come to that space. A young couple, we had to mature together in the sense of relying on each other. Because sometimes you're in your feelings, we can be in our feelings, and say we're going to do something or we're going to go somewhere with you and just be like, nope, I'm not doing that anymore. Right. So now you petty Betty, you petty Freddie, you're in your feelings, and that your partner was relying on you to go somewhere or do something or honor a commitment, and you just can't like get up in that moment. You were like, nah, I'm not doing it anymore. And there's a sense in that moment that feels like, oh man, we committed, and that you can't rely on that person. And so you often have to grow into that sense of groundedness and grounding each other. And we definitely did that over time. And I remember thinking at some point in our relationship, oh, now I get it when they're always saying word is bond. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard that. Definitely heard that growing up. Word is bond, or my word is my bond. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, I get it. Your word is your bond. That to me is that idea of like, that's the essence of reliability, right? Saying you're going to do something and doing it. And if you can't do it, acknowledging the fact that something happened and you can't do it, and making a pivot, making a shift, because even those small things can chip away. And I think about that with my kids too. Like, if they're like, you know how kids are, you promised we was gonna go to blah blah blah, you better go to blah blah blah. I mean, unless something really catastrophic happens and you can't anymore, you tell your kids you're going to do something, they remember it, because, I mean, they're not paying bills and stuff. They don't have a lot that they have to put in their memory banks, right? So they're going to remember that you said that we were going to the play park. You said that we were going to go on Wednesday, and it's Wednesday. Are we going? And when we honor our word to them, when I honor my word to my daughter or my son, I am teaching them and letting them know and showing them that they can rely on me, that they can count on me, that when I say something, my words have meaning and they're not watered down and they're not meaningless, but they are a testament to the fact that, yeah, I got you. I said I was going to do that, and that means I'm going to do it. And I'm like, that's really a heck of a thing. Because to be able to rely on somebody requires vulnerability and requires trust. And one of the videos in here, when I talked to you all about the financial experience of moving here, conversations that my husband and I had, I'll try to link to that at the end. But conversations that my husband and I had around, money, and him bringing up, whether or not I trusted him. And so there's also layers to this, because sometimes you don't trust yourself in a certain aspect. And so not trusting yourself, it becomes challenging to then trust your partner fully. Right? You may have some layers that you have to pull back to be able to get to that space. And in that moment, kind of in that conversation I had with him and in the conversation I had with you in that video, I was like coming to that sense of the layers around trust, trusting myself and trusting him, trusting in process, taking, sometimes leaps of faith and trusting in that, trusting in creator, like all of that, layers, layers. And so the beautiful thing about the reliability is that it encompasses the connection, the trust, the vulnerability, and yeah, all kind of mixed in there. If you know someone has your back, without a doubt, if you know you can rely on somebody, that's powerful. And coming here and leaving, I was like, I knew that whatever we encountered, even if it was difficult, even if it didn't show us in the best light, like it was like, oh, this was a stressful moment. Oh, somebody was in their feelings, as we can get. That at the end of the day, like the literal day, at the end of whatever it is that we were going through, and in the midst of it, we were going to figure it out together and we were going to have each other's back. And if we did something that caused us to need space, then we were going to come back together. And so I would say that the trust is not in that nothing is ever going to feel like a rift. It's never going to feel like we need space. It's never going to feel like I don't have the capacity for this or for you in this moment. I don't have the energy for your energy in this moment. It's never going to be that. It's more so if and when it is that, we know that in the end and in the process, we're going to come back to each other. That feels significant. I don't think that it's a coincidence that I saw that clip and it triggered that memory for me. And I feel like I've shared this with my husband. He watches these videos and he'll talk to me about it. And maybe I'll be like, watch this one. And he'll hear this because that was really special. That's something that I hold with me. So, yeah, reliability. What are your thoughts? Did anything resonate with you around this idea? Is there a moment that sticks out for you, or a memory that sticks out for you that's like, yeah, I knew my partner had my back. I'm so glad I can rely on her. I'm so glad I can rely on him. It was 1994, and we, whatever it was. I'd love to hear it in the comments. A moment for you that felt really significant in that way. But yeah, that's what I got for you today, this evening. Thank you for hanging out with me. Gracias. Bienvenidos o bienvenidos otra vez. Welcome or welcome again, depending on if you've been here before or if this is your first time. Hey, I'm Imani Aisha. I am here to really share ways that we can feel empowered and motivated and inspired to develop and grow in a way that feels good to us, our relationship with self. Ooh, okay, so I'm talking. Don't be rude, okay? Um, really develop our relationship with self and our relationship with our partners, right? Which also informs our family dynamic and our relationships with others as well, right? When we work on those aspects. So that's what I talk about. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please. I would appreciate that. And if what I just said, this video and want to hear more about this is your vibe, please subscribe. And for those of you who want to go a little deeper, who want a little more about connection and intimacy and communication around self and your relationship with your partner, I will meet you in the description. And thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow.